For the most part, everything that you've ever bought got to you as a result of supply chain, meaning there was a manufacturer who was dealing with another manufacturer, so those are upstream operations, and there was a buyer who was dealing with another buyer, that is downstream operations. All that, okay, was part of supply chain, and that is how you ended up getting whatever it is that you bought, be it a phone, a car, whatever it is. Now, the thing is, okay, the network of events in supply chain can be complex depending on what one is dealing with, and this is where business opportunities start to appear. And just like everything else, all this just comes down to your ability to identify an opportunity and actually seize it. Now, before we get started, I just want to quickly remind you that every Monday I do put out emails that are designed to talk about, business ideas, ways to generate income, ways to manage, a business and all that. So the Money Monday. And then depending on the choice you've taken, if you're part of our newsletter, you can also receive emails on Wednesday in the form of summary notes, practice exercise, videos, okay, and all that. Now, I've added the link in the description, so check that out if you're interested. Join the newsletter. Now, let's talk about some areas in supply chain that you can actually invest in, or that you can decide if you want to start a business in supply chain. So these are the areas that can generate profit if you take the opportunity. That's the thing. And the first one is delivery solution, or in this case, last mile delivery solution. And here's the weird part. We sort of live in an era where speed is important, okay? So if you can just click a button on an app, and then buy something, then it means that you also want that thing to be delivered to you very fast. So the truth is, customers expect cheap, or better yet, free and fast delivery. But then the problem is, where does that leave companies? Because if something is free, okay, it's not really free. Someone has to pay for it. So where does that leave companies? In order to stay competitive, companies have to find ways to improve their logistics, efficiency, and cut costs. So this is where last mile delivery solution pops up as a business idea. Meaning what? Now, last mile delivery, at times referred to as final mile, is the movement of goods from transportation hub to their final destination. And the final destination is typically the customer's home. So to avoid complicating it, think of it this way. If you buy something in a supermarket, right? And you could go to the supermarket and buy that thing and bring it to your house. Or you could just order that thing and somebody brings it from the supermarket to your house. So that is the last mile delivery. Picking it from the supermarket to your house, or picking it from where it was, like if you buy something through Amazon, right? So it's not like if they just bring it to your house. Well, depending on where you are. If you are somewhere in Kenya, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Botswana, basically I'm just mentioning people who are majority of my subscribers. So if you order something from Amazon, from Alibaba, from Jumia, from, AliExpress, whatever it is, right? So it's not like if those people are going to deliver it to your house, which could be somewhere interior or even in the reserved or up country, right? They'll deliver it somewhere, not in your house. They'll deliver it somewhere, and then you'll have to go to that place and get it from there. So the question is, how does that work in terms of business ideas? And in order to turn that into a business, first of all, you need to understand why last mile delivery matters and the challenges in the process, then find solutions to those challenges. Because fast delivery will mean happy clients. Happy clients will mean repeat sales, okay? And all that just translates to revenue that is going to be generated by the business. And so again, I'll repeat, just because it's free delivery, that doesn't mean that it's free. Someone has to pay for it. So if you're going to turn this into a business, okay, of the things that you need to know, number one, or rather phase one, you start with a minimum viable product. Meaning what? Meaning, depending on the area that you're in, okay? So whatever area that you're dealing with, you could find two, okay, one or two businesses, and then partner with them. Have a deal where you exclusively handle their delivery. So to simplify it, say it's a supermarket. I'm not saying you do this at a supermarket. It could be anything. It could be like a guy selling cars. And then your job is to, let's say they're importing those cars. So if they're in the city center, okay, they're in the city center and then the importation is happening, or rather the car being delivered somewhere in the coastal, in the ocean, Indian Ocean, port, whatever, right? So you're the one who's going to get those cars from the port to their yard, in the city center, or getting those cars from the port to the client's house, or getting the car from the, whatever. The point is, it could be that, or it could just be a simple business where somebody buys something online and their job is to deliver that thing from the seller to the client. So find two businesses, simple. You're starting with something simple, a minimum viable product. So you are supposed to find these one or two businesses, and then you exclusively handle the delivery for them. So why are you starting small? Because this way you can learn. Now, once you've done that, the second step or the second phase is simple. Now that you've tested your idea, you can officially launch the business. That means you can officially start doing marketing campaigns so that you can attract other. Remember, it's not the customers, rather in this case, your clients are not the people who are buying these things. Your clients are the businesses that people are buying from. You're part of the supply chain. That's what you're talking about here. You are part of the supply chain. So this is more of a B2B sort of thing, business to business. So once you've tested it with your minimum viable product, so now you're rolling it out in a larger scale. Well, not a larger scale, but in a sizable scale, because you'll still need to expand later. So that's the thing, with the last mile delivery as a business, or last mile delivery solutions. So that's number one. Number two, freight and transport optimization. The thing that I want you to understand is we're not talking about you starting a transportation business. That is not what we're talking about here. What in fact we're talking about here is optimizing, optimizing the freight or the transportation business for those companies. You see, I'm just saying that you are supposed to help companies optimize their freight and transportation. You have to remember that with supply chain, almost all the goods in supply chains are going to be transported one way or the other. So this could be from the farmer to the manufacturer to the supplier, like tier one, whatever, supplier depending on the network, to probably the guy who's going to be doing the distribution, to the retailer, in all these, there is transportation, right? So your job is to optimize that. That is your business, to show them how they can make that entire transportation effective, So businesses are always looking for ways to optimize their routes, reduce fuel cost, and improve delivery times. So if you're going to start this as a business, the question then becomes, how do you do this, How do you go about this? And there are a number of ways. Anyway, so the first one, you start by choosing your niche. Meaning what? Meaning you start by deciding on what exactly are you going to be dealing with. And in this case, we're talking about things like local freight, In this case, focusing on optimizing local or regional delivery for smaller companies. Is it international freight, where you are helping businesses that import or export to reduce cost through better carrier contracts and routing? Or number three, industry-specific freight, where the focus is on industries with unique transportation needs, for instance, perishable goods, heavy equipment, pharmaceutical. That's the thing there. Like in this case, you're just saying, I just want to deal with pharmaceuticals because I know that they have like the chemicals, they're going to be transported just like anything else. Or perishable, where the idea is I need to get these things as fast as possible to where they're supposed to go. So that could be the area that you're focusing on. Now, so you've done that, right? So that's something that you have. You've chosen your niche. So what is the next thing? The next thing is you have to decide on the core services that you're going to provide. And in this case, when you're talking about deciding on the core services that you're going to be providing, what are we talking about? So you could be looking at things like freight optimization. So the idea is helping your clients choose the most cost-effective shipping routes, carrier, modes of transport such as air, ship, rail, or truck. It's simple, really. It's not like if, you want to buy something, So it's not like if you want to buy something from China, then you just know that I'll get it here via ship, via air. Some people don't even know that. They just know that one is expensive and the other one is probably not expensive. But then the problem is, the one that appears not to be expensive is also going to be slow. The one that is expensive is probably going to be fast. And even the question of expensive is relative. So these are things that are supposed to be helping your clients to understand that this is how you're going to be, Anyway, that's number one. So that could be a service that you're offering. Another service could be load consolidation, because sometimes, okay, you buy something or you import something, but you could be buying something, and whatever it is that you're buying is not going to fit in a container. And you don't want to just bring that, because you're going to be charged the entire cost of the container. So you could be helping these clients of yours or these businesses to consolidate the load. So yes, you bought these. I also know 5 other guys that you can share a container with, and you're probably thinking the person who's selling you that probably knows that. That's not their job. I mean, if you're paying for the thing, they'll just ship the entire thing in they're just going to treat you based on what you're paying for. Okay? So you could be helping these clients by, like you can consolidate this with that one, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? So that's number 2. That could be a service under optimization of freight and transportation. Number 3, you could also be helping with route optimization, where you use data to suggest the best routes for minimizing time and fuel consumption. Number 4 could be technology integration, in which case you offer things like transport management, softwares, TMS, to streamline logistic operation. And so at times you look at that and you think, isn't this something that is going to be done by, say, big companies? Yeah, the truth is, big companies are doing that. DHL, FedEx, they're doing that. But then the problem is, there are small companies that also want to be big. So those are the ones that you're going to go after. Okay, don't waste your time going after number 1. You should be going after number 4, number 20 who's trying to be number 1. That's the thing. And when you get to these companies, you should be showing them how you're going to add value to whatever you are doing. Okay? Value addition is key in this case. So value addition in this case can come in the form of things like reviewing their shipping bills and invoice to identify discrepancies and opportunities for cost saving, giving them reports, okay, that provide insight into their current logistic performance and highlighting areas they can improve on, negotiating on their behalf with freight carriers for better rates. And again, just a quick reminder, okay? If you are really interested, again, as I pointed out, if you're interested in getting all these sort of things in email form, don't forget to join our newsletter, where you can get summarized notes, PDF downloads. I mean, a lot of resources, okay? Be it in business, be it in supply chain, be it in procurement. Just make sure you join. Select the option that you think works for you, okay? And then, you start receiving your content. Now, let's move on. Number 3, e-commerce fulfillment and logistics. So in this case, what you need to understand is that, again, as I pointed out when you're starting with the first business idea, is that most of these companies, the Amazons, the Alibabas, the Jumia, the whatever it is, the e-commerce platform that you're using, okay? Shopify, all that stuff, right? They're just platforms. That's the thing. The idea is just to say, here's what you're selling, okay? So the idea is as simple as saying, here's a pen. We are selling this pen. So the question is, do you want to buy this pen? Yes, I want to buy this pen. Click add to cart, right? But then now that you have bought the pen, where exactly? Oh, yeah, you haven't really bought the pen. You've just clicked on a picture of a pen saying you want the pen. So the real pen, okay? Because that was the description. So the actual thing that you're buying, how does it move from where it is to where you actually are? And I'm not talking about like now it's in your country. How does it move from your country to? Not really. Like how does it even get to a point where you can access it? So there has to be some sort of fulfillment center. And so that's the business idea here. Okay, you can become that fulfillment center, and it doesn't have to be for Amazon. The point is, companies like those ones, whether it's Amazon, whether it's again Alibaba, it's Jumia, whether it's all that stuff, they'll have to pick these goods, okay, and take them somewhere. So you can be that person that they get those goods to, and then the client, okay, or the buyer will come and pick those goods from there, or some third-party logistic provider or some last-mile delivery person will pick them from there and take them to the client. So this is the business idea at this point. With this kind of business, okay, you have to, number 1, decide which niche are you going to be falling under. Niche. whatever. Which one are you going to be dealing with? So, I mean, you just can't make it general. I'm just going to be dealing with anything. No, you have to start with something that you can learn from and then improve from there. So is it fashion and apparel? Is it health and beauty products? Is it tech, gadgets? Okay. And again, once you've decided on that, I'll still remind you, you are not dealing with the buyers. Those are not your clients. You are dealing with the manufacturer. You're dealing with the sellers, whatever it is, okay? These B2B, most of these things you're talking about here are just business to business sort of ideas, okay? So with these businesses that you're dealing with, what service are you going to be offering them? As a fulfillment center, which sort of services are you going to be offering? So this could include things like storage and warehousing, picking items from the inventory, packing them, and shipping to customers, tracking stock levels and notifying clients when items are running low, dealing with products returns on behalf of clients, okay? Customer service. And so clearly, if you're going to be doing those things, then you'll need to have some sort of a setup. Okay, so it's not just like if, it isn't just creating a website and then like drop shipping. That's not what I'm talking about here. It's not a case of picking a link from a website or picking a picture, creating a website, and then when a client says they want something, you tell them to fill their details, and then it's not that. Okay, so in this case, you are dealing with those physical products. So that means finding a small warehouse or space, okay, setting up some basic infrastructure, so things like racks, packing material, inventory software, and then having logistics operation properly set up. That's the business idea here. As a fulfillment center, you're physically going to be doing things. So this isn't just a website that you're going to create, because you can just do that with, like Instagram, where you just have pictures of goods, okay, that you're not selling, you're basically just an affiliate. So somebody shows up, I want to buy these shoes, and then you're like, yeah, 4,000, whatever. And then once they've paid you, you send the information to the seller and say, you sort that person. This is what we're talking about here. In this case, you are the one who's sorting the seller. You're the one who's making sure that those goods got from the manufacturer to the buyer. Okay? That's the business idea here. Next. So number 4, supply chain, financial, and trade credit solutions. And yes, in this case, we're talking about money. Okay? All these things. You see, in business, there is whatever it is that you're doing, your operations, okay? There is how people become aware of whatever it is that you're doing. That is the marketing. And then finally, there is a way you finance all that. There's a way you have to finance your operation. Okay, there is the way you finance your marketing. In short, finance. So 3 things that matter in business: finance, marketing, and your operations. So the business idea in this case is you become the person who's financing those things that are happening in supply chain. Meaning what? The idea is to offer financing solution to businesses so that they can improve on their liquidity and keep the supply chain moving. And the opportunity here is in developing fintech platforms that provide supply chain financing, invoice factoring, or trade credit solutions, allowing suppliers to receive payment faster while giving buyers more flexible terms. But I'm not saying just build an app that says, if you need money, click here and then you'll get, because that will just land you into 2 problems. 1, people will just disappear with your money. And number 2, legal problems, like they could say you are money laundering or something. So there are some legal repercussions here. But here's the thing, if you're going to go with that, here are things that you need to understand. 1, decide on the area you want to be dealing with and know the inside out of such areas. Because focusing on industries, okay, by focusing on industries that have cash flow problems, then it becomes very easy to understand how you can, deal with such industries. In this case, we're talking about things like, and by industries, I mean supply chain in those industries. I don't mean the industry itself, okay? So in this case, we're talking about things like manufacturing, retail and distribution, construction, wholesale trade, agriculture. That's the thing. Deciding on which service you're going to offer in those industries is the next thing. So you've decided, yes, I want to offer finances or financial help to this particular area. Then there is a question of what sort of finance help, okay, or what sort of financing are you talking about? So which service? So the service could include things like supply chain financing, okay, where you're providing financing to suppliers based on confirmed invoice, allowing them to get paid early while the buyer pays later, because that's the thing. Somebody supplies something. It's not always automatically the case that if I supply something today, I get paid today, and yet I have bills to pay. Okay, they're all working capital thing. So what you're saying is you supply this particular pen, but then not this one, but many of them, right? So you supply pens, but then the client isn't going to pay you today. Maybe they're doing the net 60 thing. They'll pay after 60 days. So within these 60 days, how are you operating? Now, if you have money, you're good. But if you don't have money, I step in, I give you the money, okay, that the client was supposed to give you, your client, the customer. Now you have money, okay? And then the client will pay later, and then I'll just take a cut, okay? Because now I'm going to charge you interest, obviously, on that. So I'll take that. So that's the idea here. Okay, number 2, trade credit solutions, in which case you are offering extended payment terms to buyers while paying the supplier upfront. So it's just the reverse. So in this case, it's like, look, you said you're going to pay after 30 days, right? And it's 30 days, you have a problem. You, who's you? The buyer, right? You have a problem. So how about this? I've already paid the supplier. You, on the other hand, after those 40 days, you're supposed to pay in 30 days, but you think you'll pay after 40 days. Yeah, just pay me that money plus interest. So now that's my business, okay? Because I'm going to be cutting some fee there. So I can, 1, pay the supplier, okay? And the buyers will pay me later. Or 2, I can have the buyer, okay? In this case, the buyer is going to be late on their payment term. So I'll just pay on their behalf, okay? So I can give the supplier money, is all I'm saying, or I can pay on behalf of the buyer and the buyer will pay me. So either way, I'm making money. I don't know if you're on the same page, okay? So number 3, invoice discounting, where you're actually buying invoices from suppliers at a discount, allowing them to receive immediate cash flow. And if you're going to do anything with financing in it, okay, any sort of financing business, it means you have to develop relationship with financial institutions, because that is important, because you need cash flow, right? And so that means you need to have a platform that allows you to onboard the suppliers and buyers, conduct a credit score to assess the creditworthiness of the client, as well as track payment and transaction history. I'm oversimplifying this thing, but the truth is any of these business ideas will require you to actually do a lot of research. So don't just jump on something because some guy in YouTube said it and it sounded like a good idea. You have to do your due diligence, okay? Especially when you're dealing with money. I mean, it's not the same as products where you know that they'll buy these, I'll pay them. In this case, you're effectively just operating as a bank without being a bank. So depending on which country you are from, there are going to be some regulations, okay, regarding that sort of thing. So you have to understand that. Anyway, let's move on. Now, the 5th idea, okay, is supply chain analytics and big data solutions. We know this one. It's just everything now is about data, right? Which is the reason why when you have people complaining about social media, they're like, these guys are stealing our data. It's like, yeah, sure. Except if you're using it for free, then you need to really ask yourself, what is the product? I mean, if you're using Twitter, X, you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook or YouTube. So if you have any question, actually, you can follow me on any of those platforms, right? It's just at Zerite Network. So be it on any of those ones. But the point is, if you're using these platforms for free, then you sort of need to ask yourself, what exactly is the product? Because if it is free, then you're the product, right? Specifically your data. So that's the thing. We are in that sort of business where data is important. Anyway, so how do you do this in supply chain, right? How do you profit, or rather, how do you use data in supply chain in a way that actually generates more income for you? Data can be used in supply chain to analyze processes, predict demand, identify inefficiencies, and improve decision making. And to start this as a business, obviously you have to decide which niche or which market or which area you're going to be dealing with. And so it could be something like retail and e-commerce, okay? And your focus here will be helping such to optimize inventory, improve last mile delivery, or even predict consumer demand. Could be dealing with manufacturing, where you help such businesses optimize production schedules and manage supplier relationship. You could even go with healthcare sector, in which case you offer solutions for managing pharmaceutical supply chains, especially for tracking temperature-sensitive goods. It could also be logistics, where you can work with the third-party logistic providers, okay, to optimize transportation routes and reduce fuel costs. And the thing here is that you're actually using data to arrive at a solution. So this isn't just one of those things like a consultant. Like there's nothing wrong with consultants. I'm just saying in this case, your business is actually using data to arrive at these solutions. So that could mean providing real-time tracking and monitoring of goods from suppliers to end customers. In short, supply chain visibility. Could also mean using data to forecast demand, okay, manage inventory and anticipate supply chain disruptions, or even analyze supply chain risks and providing insight on how to mitigate potential disruptions. And so there are a lot of things that you can do with data, but the question is always going to be exactly where am I getting this data from? And that is where technology comes in. So in this case, you can use Internet of Things devices, okay, RFID tags, GPS trackers, cloud-based systems to collect real-time data on shipment, inventory, and suppliers. So yeah, some of those businesses are going to be cheap to start. Some will be capital intensive, but the point is, it is supply chain. It can be profitable. You just have to do your research and then decide on which one favors you based on, your expertise or your interest or, all that stuff. So the point is, they're business ideas. You can pick any that you want. If you have any question, do let me know. Okay? See you in the next video.